quiet. What's up? How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the Hoof Live podcast. We're back at it again for another freaking week. A week following a preseason W, courtesy of the Bass Master himself, right? Yeah. It is a freaking Tuesday night. You're joined with our co-host here, Anthony Romeo, hailing from Syracuse, New York.
Heck yeah. What's up, gentlemen? I'm ready to go. A preseason W. Not quite the energy of a regular season W, but, you know, the game-winning drive, a few good kicks. You know, some players starred. Hey, that's what we want to see. It's just a warm-up, folks. We're getting to the real action. 1 week closer. 1 week closer to the real deal.
Eric, what's good down there, man? We already know where you're at. You know, we'll just say you're in New York City. Might as well call it that. You're pretty much right there. You're pretty much right there for now. How you doing, man?
Not bad. You know, most people think of New York, they think of New York City, so I'm used to that anyway. But yeah, doing good, man. Bass-O-Matic, right? Still reigning true. A fun game to watch. You know, really want to watch Josh Allen though. Kind of missed out on that, but we'll be patient.
Hey, so question. Now that Tyler Bass is no longer a rookie, do you still hate him?
I was going to say that. I was going to bring that up.
Because the thing about rookies,
is he hating on my guy Tyler Bass?
I do this to all rookies because you just don't know until you get out there and the team relies on them. Are they going to come through? Is the pressure going to get to them? You just never know. I think Tyler Bass is here to stay 100%. I'm not going to bash him at all this season.
Are you sure about that?
Hold me to it.
What's going to be his longest of the year? You could make it from like 56, if not further. So hopefully he doesn't have to because we're too close.
I think McDermott has a lot of confidence in Tyler Bass. He would let him attempt a 60-yarder, I bet.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay.
I
think so.
I would. If I was McDermott, I would let him attempt a 60-yarder.
Why not? Let's
go. Okay. All right. So, well, now that we got the introductions out of the way, man, let's give some shout outs to some fans we got in here tonight. Kyle G's in the house, says go Bills. Kyle, thank you for watching the show. Don is up in here as well. Don, how you doing, girl? Hey, What's up? Richard Rush, man. Richard's dope. That's the homie right there. He's always supporting, man. Appreciate you, Vito. What's good, my guy? He says, let's go. Pump that Bills content into my ears. Yes, sir. And then Attica Tony's in here. He says, hey, Mafia, what's going on? EB, what up? And so, you know, there's others of you in here. So before we even get going, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the Hoof Podcast. And leave, if you like our show, man, leave a comment, if you're watching from YouTube, please leave a comment in YouTube. We love to interact that way. We have a lot of things scheduled for you, the fans, this season on the Hoof Live and at Cover One in general. We have shows here at Cover One, every night of the week, just about, if you're looking for Bills content, there is no shortage here at Cover One where you get in-depth film analysis to entertainment to whatever you're looking for. We really do try to make sure we have everybody covered. All right, so you're gonna be rocking with us all season long. So, man, thank you for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. So, like, follow, subscribe. Okay, like I'm saying it again, like, follow, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment in YouTube. Just say, hey, dude, I love your show. Or say, hey, Sterling, you suck. You need to shut the hell up. I want to hear it. Like, tell us, because, this is for you guys, right? So before we continue on, I want to make sure you guys know that we're going to be giving out jerseys this season. Every month, we're going to be giving out jerseys. We're going to, as the season gets closer, we're going to put out an email address where you guys can contact us and ask us questions. And what we'll do is we'll take your questions, we'll read them on our show here, and we're going to have our Friday podcast back again. We're going to be dropping those on Friday. So we're going to be doing questions here and there. The reason why we're doing that is we want more interaction with the fans, and sometimes we get questions that we don't always get to ask or always get to answer. So we want to make sure we're talking to our fans, you know how we do. But we're going to give you guys an email address where you can do that. So, and once you send us an email, your name will be entered in a drawing to win a Bills jersey every single freaking month. So, Anthony, how many months? Let's see, September, October, November, December, January. That's 5 months. That's
February.
February. That's
February. Okay, February because of Super Bowl, right? Okay,
let's go.
So that's 6. That's 6 right there. Lone Wolf. Hold up now. Hold up. Men in the kitchen says go Bills. Now, if you're in the kitchen, what are you cooking? That's what I want to know. What are you cooking tonight? Because I'm hungry, bro. I could use some ribs or some chicken right now. I'm telling you, I'm hungry as hell. Lone Wolf, 2 nights in a row with Sterling. Yes, I was with Jay Spence the King last night and Joe Miller doing a little something. Chris Janke, what's up, man? Chris Janke's a real one in here. Reptile was good. Pierre Martinez, group for defensive rookie of the year. We're gonna talk about that tonight. We're gonna talk about that. And the Adam Ritter steak. Yes, sir.
On the grill. There you go.
All right, so our show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can start drafting in minutes for a shot at big cash prizes, no extra costs. You could download the app. This is for best ball daily drafts, pick 'em, you name it. This is one of the best fantasy sports apps out there on the freaking market. And when you do download this app and you use it, if you enter the promo code COVER1, they will match up to $25 on your first deposit. That's what's up. So
free money, you can't go wrong. Let's go.
Free money, you can't go wrong. Underdog Fantasy, you gotta do it. Just do it. Okay, just do it. And promo code COVER1. All right. So we got that out of the way. Now, are y'all ready? Because I'm ready. Y'all ready to rock tonight?
Here we go. We got
okay.
to talk about.
Hey, Men in the Kitchen says I do barbecue and soul food. Come on with it. I need some mac and cheese, brother. stir it up. I need that mac and cheese. Yes, sir. All right. So we got a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. Obviously, the headliner is, top 15 most impactful players. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the show. But as you guys know, we run our show a little bit different. We have some segments that we do, and the topics that we talk about prior to our main event, the guys don't know about. So I put these in here, and then we just kind of get our reactions and therefore. So this part of our show is called What's Poppin'? What's poppin', folks? Everything around the NFL, whether that's not typically Bills related. These is the latest and greatest news around the league. What's poppin'? Topic number 1 for tonight. Jamal Adams gets the bag. This dude signs a 4-year extension worth $70 million. What say you, Anthony? Eric, you follow up.
Well, this is I'm surprised he only got that much because he had that team by the groin, if you will. He definitely had total control over the situation, knowing what was given up for him, and knowing that they could not afford the embarrassment of not re-signing him to an extension. So 4 years, $70 million, it was basically the check that he wrote himself because he had full control. But Jamal Adams, we know exactly who this guy is, through his years in the AFC. And he was dominant at the position. Some might have said the best at his position at times in his career. Was he that last year? Maybe not. He dealt with some injuries and obviously the weird COVID season that everybody dealt with. So did he earn that money? Absolutely. And, that's the market of the NFL. The next contract's always going to be bigger and better if you're a legitimate contender at that position. So he got paid. Good for him. Is he worth it? Will this contract be worth it long term? That's up in the air for debate. And I'm not sure he can live up to that kind of paycheck. Granted, again, when the next guy signs, it's not going to look as bad. So
right.
We'll see. You won't know until long term, but good for him getting his money. And like I said, Seattle, they had no choice, basically.
Yeah, I think it's this is exactly why he got the boot in New York, because he basically did his rookie contract for them. They trade him, to Seattle, and he gets paid there, right? They basically kicked him out so they didn't have to pay him. And I think a lot of that is because the safety position is not as high of value as others. I mean, Jamal Adams comes in, gets $38 million guaranteed. What was Jalen Ramsey got $71 million guaranteed. Just two different. I mean, Jamal Adams is the best at his position, the best strong safety in the league, in my opinion. A little debatable, but just
very debatable.
I was going to say last year he didn't prove that,
but that's okay.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
New team, new scheme.
Yeah.
But I mean, the physical traits, the leadership ability, it's all there. It's top 5-esque. But I think the safety position is in that discussion of not being up to value. When you compare it to a cornerback, I mean, I think he should have been. I don't know, a guy like Jamal Adams. I mean, every team should want a guy like that on their roster, don't you think? And I think it's a win for Seattle overall. I think he's going to continue to grow in that offense and be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with I don't really care that they paid him that much money. But I don't think he's I think he's great. He's a difference maker for sure. I just think his pass coverage is not great. He doesn't produce turnovers when it comes to intercepting the ball. Right. But that's not, necessarily what they use him for. I mean, he's more of a, down in the box safety, right? You're seeing a lot of teams play a lot of quarters and cover one than, cover two. So, he plays a lot in the box, and
right.
He does a really good job. Yep. He does a really good job. He can rush the passer. He could cover tight ends in a sense. He's definitely not one of those guys that just can line up with a wide receiver. I mean, so he's a glorified linebacker or a hybrid player, if you will. To be honest, I think Derwin James is a better player than Jamal Adams. That's just my opinion.
If he could stay healthy,
James,
maybe.
If he could stay healthy. But I think I would rather have Derwin James than your boy here. So, but good kudos for him for getting the bag, man. He can rest easy and sleep tonight. Seattle still paid too much money for that. That is too much capital.
He's a playmaker. Well, they gave up 2 first-round picks. That's why I said he basically wrote himself a check. They had no choice but to keep him. Otherwise, they would have been completely embarrassed by that. So, he earned his money. And let's not forget, we were happy to see this guy leave the AFC East.
It didn't matter whether he was there or not.
I mean, it didn't because he was on a terrible team, but still, that was the impactful player to watch on that team at the time. And now that he's on another team, good for him. Glad to see him staying in the NFC and not facing our Bills twice a year.
So that on the Twitter handle, Bad Takes Exposed, that Jamal Adams needs to be on there for all the shit he talked about Josh Allen. He needs to be on that because Josh Allen made him his son. But hey,
he's got to get in line. There's a long
list. Yes, sir.
Add him to.
We still do not have enough likes in here. That's all I got to say right now. I need some more likes. So, we in here. Look, we're in here giving y'all the goods. I need some more likes. All right, let's keep it moving. And this is the most important topic of the day, fellas.
Trolling us here.
Hallelujah. Tim Tebow is cut. I don't want to hear it. The Tim Tebow stands and if you want to talk about biblical references, the veil was torn today because Tim Tebow is not on a roster. Yes, we don't have to hear about it. I don't want to hear about Tim Tebow, but let's talk about it here. Tim Tebow was cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Apparently, maybe he talked some shit to Urban Meyer after that block that y'all saw on Saturday that I can do that. Yeah. You want to pay me for that? You cut me for a week?
That's what baseball will do to you.
That's not even a move in baseball,
Yeah,
unless you're going down to pick up your sunflower seeds
or something.
He's
You
trying
know?
to slide.
Bro, that block, like that look like that boy ain't never play football in his life.
Well, he hasn't. I mean, we all knew this wasn't going to work, right? That was just stupid when they signed him. It was just, the old coach saying, "Hey, old player, why don't you just come by and say hi and get on this roster for a minute?" And he was so bad that they had to cut him already. I mean, it was stupid experiment. Like, what are you trying to do? Huh?
Yes, sir. I know.
Just to bring his name back into recognition for everybody. Every 5 years, he's going to get signed to some team just so we talk about Tim Tebow again.
Should have just hired him as a coach. That would have been a much better experiment.
Rest in peace. Look. Even Bobby Hart can block like that. That is the comment of the night.
That's the winner right there. That's it. I love
it. It's like I mean, y'all know I'm a Christian, right? So I'm into the Jesus or whatever, right? And I know people, girls, Christian girls who think they thought I'm gonna marry Tim Tebow. That's what they thought. I'm gonna marry, and you have to, and as dudes, he's not real. That man does not exist. Stop. You come back down, right? And what does he do? He marries a supermodel. And everybody's like, his views went down after he did that. But I'm just saying, that's just a little side story there. But Tim Tebow was cut. Also, Josh Rosen, the golden child from Silver Spoon, if you will, from UCLA, is now without a NFL team again. Why? That boy's been ruined. So what you got, Eric? What you think about your boy Rosen down there?
I mean, I don't think anybody saw this coming. If after he studied the draft process, I mean, there's something going on behind the scenes with this guy after, falling out of 4 or 5 teams in the short time span that he's had, being a top 10 pick quarterback. I mean, you just don't see that a lot. So something's off. Is it personality? Is it talent? Does he not know the playbook? I mean, that's what I always wondered about him. And it's likely we'll never know the real reasons, but you just hate to see a guy fall that far, that fast, really.
I mean, I'm glad that you can contrast this so much with the Josh Allen situation. Remember that most fans wanted Josh Rosen. I'm glad to say I was not one of those people, but I can still say, it's unbelievable to see how split in different directions they went.
Yeah.
But when you boil it down to what Sterling joked about at the beginning here, Josh Rosen was born with a silver spoon. Now, the reason I was not a Josh Rosen fan is because he has no heart to me, right? You talk to the kid, you interview him, and you get this. Yeah, played quarterback.
Kind of like Sam Darnold.
This was his reaction when he got cut today. Okay, I got cut today. Like he just, and maybe part of it is his financial situation never required him to work hard and be that guy that had to scratch and claw for everything he got, like Josh Allen is. We know the best trait Josh Allen has is he's never going to stop working to get better. That's just who he is. It's in his bones, and that is clear just from seeing him play one game, let alone anything. Right.
Let's talk about Davis Webb for a minute. I mean, Davis Webb, not the most talented guy physically.
Coach
gets it done, but I mean, the reports come out. He's there first thing in the morning. He's cutting up all the film and all the plans for the team.
Yeah.
He's Josh's right-hand man. I mean, that's what it takes to make a roster long-term as a third-string quarterback. You got to contribute in some way, and a lot of times it is coaching. I mean, Jordan Palmer, we all know him. He was on the bench his entire career, but his career was still 15 years in the NFL. I think more than that. That's what it takes. So something with Rosen, he's not doing that stuff for the team. And it's just, why keep him at that point?
The headspace.
I think he got ruined, but the way he was drafted and treated, man, I think it just killed his confidence. I mean, some of these guys, they're the top guy wherever they've been their whole life. And, you get to the NFL and it's different. Everybody's like you pretty much. And so what are you going to bring to the table that's different from the next guy? And, he was kind of ruined. But neither here nor there. I'm glad the Bills didn't draft him, and maybe he'd be something different if the Bills drafted him. But I'm happy we got Josh Allen, and yes, I was one of the guys that wanted Rosen over Allen, and I'll admit that I was wrong on that take.
You and a lot of other people. Yeah, that's a lot of people on that list as well.
Yeah,
most of the analysts and people and everybody out there were like, Rosen way over Elam. And they all look like fools now.
But all I got to say is, did Tim Tebow get cut at 316?
Too soon.
What? Is that sacrilegious? I don't know. Did he get cut at 316? Is that when the news dropped? I don't know. Somebody needs to fact check me on that. But anyway, we got Gregg Tompsett coming in here in a few minutes. But before Gregg gets in here, let's talk about the game from Friday night. Okay, shall we talk about the game? Lions recap. Bills got a W, right? One of the things that I'll point out that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is that Sean McDermott went for it on 4th and 1 on his own 29. Y'all remember that? That was beautiful. Even though it's preseason, that takes balls. When you look at McDermott, like, he's grown as a coach every year. I know it's just preseason, but still, those are things for him that we haven't seen him do. Like, that's how much confidence that he had in that unit blocking up front. Cody Ford was mauling. Cody Ford was balling, right? Those are some exciting things to see. Like, I loved that. And I'll shelf it there, and I'll let you guys. Anthony, you go first, Eric, and then you follow up. What are your thoughts on some takeaways from the game?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to watch too much of it because I was not near a TV and out of service range on my last week before starting work. So it was nice to be away, but I did follow the game and I did see a lot of the highlights. And, you know, I agree with most of what you said, that it's a preseason game. So I take it with a grain of salt. But you brought up the McDermott conversation, and it is nice to see that. I think the reason McDermott does so well in connecting with his players is because he believes what he says and he lives what he says, right? If he's telling you to keep improving and try your best and learn about what you study, what you don't do well, and get better at it, that's what McDermott does every year. 3 years ago, I was the one screaming into a microphone saying, what the hell, Sean McDermott? Learn how to manage your timeouts. Learn how to, go for it on 4th down. He had to learn those things. He did. And he's improved on each of those things we criticized him for. He was already a leader of men and already a strong head coach before any of that, but he could always get better, and he's continued to. And while, again, it's a preseason game and it's not a real season game, it just shows you that I hope he's built the confidence to know when it's important to do that in that situation, when to show that faith in your guys and say, I know it's 4th and 1 on our own 29, but guess what? We're getting this yard, and I know we can do it, so I'm going for it. And that's going to matter in the regular season in a big matchup, when you need it most. So I do like that growth. Overall, I mean, there's a lot of topics we can talk about in this game. I know we're going to get into some of them, so I won't shout and spoil unless you want me to. Some of the stuff that stood out, obviously, Greg Rousseau on that first drive, which, Sterling's going to toot his own horn there a little bit, but because Basham on the other side that Eric and I last week said would be stronger in that performance, or at least overall in this season. I didn't look that way in this one.
Constantly winning the preseason.
Yeah. That's he did win that one. Well, at least for now. Again, we're talking regular season. We still got a lot of regular season to go.
Hold on. Say it again. I want to hear it again.
You won the preseason? That's what you want to hear?
Hey, y'all. See, listen, y'all already know I'm coming with the fire.
You know that's a Rex Ryan joke, right?
You already know I'm coming with that fire.
Yeah, only week 1.
Two
more weeks
left. Respect on my name.
I was going to say, you won the preseason. You got to win the regular season, bro. That's when it counts.
I am by no means a master scout or anything. I don't toot my horn like that. But I'm just saying, some of my analysis on these players have been spot on, and I'm proud of myself as I'm growing and my film watching and film study. And so
especially with this player. I made a comment on your tweet when this was live about Greg Rousseau. I said, hey, not exactly what you thought when we drafted him, but that's the point with this whole situation of looking at players and changing perspective. Your initial reaction doesn't have to be biblical. And everybody in the NFL learned that with Josh Allen. Just because you didn't like him doesn't mean you can't see him on the field and know, wow, this guy's going to be something in the NFL, or wow, he continues to grow. And still some of those people are like, well, he's still going to be a bust, right? Because they held on to that. Sterling did not like the initial pick of Greg Rousseau, but he's analyzed the tape, he's dug deeper into it, and now he's found exactly the analysis that he's stuck to. And so far he was right.
I got to answer this. And it's not that I didn't want Rousseau. I wanted a different player.
Other guys.
I wanted a cornerback. I wanted a running back. I would have been okay with a wide receiver. I didn't think defensive end was something that you needed to invest I just wanted something else. It wasn't that I despised Rousseau, but I was expecting. I had my hopes up for Travis Etienne, and he went before. Najee Harris went before. Elijah Moore. I wanted something different. I wanted a cornerback, and it just didn't happen. The cornerbacks were gone, and there's that. So it's not that I didn't like Rousseau, but yeah, after the dust settles, you really go back and you look at it and you go, okay, what can this player do? And what he can do is, he wins with length. He has he covers a lot of ground. He wins with, hand placement and leverage. Those are some things that that he's bringing to the table now. Now, I know he's been training with Bruce Smith and he's been training all off season. We were talking about that before the show. So a lot of that stuff is manifesting. And I just think that it's really cool to see him carry something over, because just like Josh Allen, people didn't think that he'd have any impact. I mean, in Bill's community, we all thought, it's going to take 3-4 years for him to have an impact. And on this show, y'all already know, before even the mini camp started, I said, no, man, I think Gregg Rousseau, look at the film room that Eric put out. I was like, I think Gregg Rousseau, he can have an impact early. You just can't teach that size, that length, that athleticism. I think it's impressive. So I'm not crowning him the next great pass rusher. All I'm saying is he may be able to help out now better than what we had last year.
Absolutely. And we talked a lot about that, and you owned it last week. And I just want to put up this comment and talk real quick about this, because this was another kind of unsung piece of this game, I think. They wanted to test the running game a little bit in this game, and it was important to see what Devin Singletary can do. Zach Moss still dealing with an injury there, and he looked good. What did he average? I think 5.4 yards a carry or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, he looked pretty good.
He looked good in this game, and I've been somebody sticking to Singletary and saying Singletary is still the starter, day one, carry one, and these guys can still get it done. And all that running back talk was nonsense all off season, and here we go, rolling into the season. We don't need those guys to be dominant all-star type players, because we have other guys. We're a pass-first team. But it's good to see that you can still rely on the run when you need it, and that's part of what the preseason is for. You have to test this. Where is this running game at?
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. But first, before we do this, I want to introduce a very special guest, my guy, Gregg freaking Tompsett of Cover One. He is in the house repping tonight. And also, I will say this, Gregg is a connoisseur of finely cooked meat. He is one of the best Bills analysis guys out there. I look up to Gregg. Gregg's one of the reasons why Eric and we started doing our podcast. And Gregg was also one of the guys that would interact with me on Twitter. I got so happy the first time I got to interact with Gregg. We're talking about trades and running backs and Devin Singletary. And I just wanted to formally say, Gregg, thank you for being so cool with us. And look at us now. We're all working together.
It's crazy, man. It's it's a small world we live in, and finding talent in a lot of different corners of the world is something we pride ourselves on, and couldn't be prouder of everything you guys are doing with the Hoof.
Well, thank you for that. But we have you in here for a very specific reason tonight, sir. So, first of all, what is your initial? I know you have your show, but what is your initial reaction? What are some takeaways for you from the Lions game? And then we have some other topics for you to dive into.
Yeah, I think you guys listening for a while leading in. I think it was great to see that the practice reports weren't all smoke and mirrors with the young defensive line. That was great to see them. It's one thing when it's Bobby Hart or when it's against, Tommy Doyle, or it's against, obviously Spencer Brown's a different animal, run blocking versus pass blocking this early in his career. It's different when it's Penei Sewell. That's cool. that was reassuring to see. And you guys were just touching on Motor, and everybody goes overboard with the glow ups in the off season, and Marcel Louis-Jacques always is really level-headed about that, and he's like, listen, I spent most of my life in NFL locker rooms. They all look like that. Like this isn't special. They all look like that. But I will say I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a little bit more acceleration than I had seen from Singletary before. There was a little bit more juice than what I had seen before. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Gregg, why are you lying? Stop lying right now. You're lying. I'll appreciate it. Listen, okay. Listen, hold up. Okay, so look, we know Devin Singletary is not any faster. That boy, he's slow. But I think the blocking scheme and what they were able to do up front. The Devin Singletary we saw. I don't know. This is my opinion.
No, and I know where you're going with it. There's a piece of it where he did not become a more special athlete or anything like that. But when, back-to-back 950 yard from scrimmage seasons isn't nothing. So the fact that he's been able to do that as inarguably a below caliber athlete, a low level athlete for the relative basis of NFL running back. NFL running back, we all grew up. You knew who the running back was on your team in Pee Wee and in middle school and in JV and in high school. Like the running back is the best athlete in town. That's who the running backs are. And you get to that point where by those standards, he's a subpar athlete. Now for him, the reason that I think maybe there's a little something to it is if he was able to go from really, really subpar to maybe a little bit better for him, all of a sudden the skill set that he already had, which is, exceptional contact balance, great vision, good short area quickness. And then if he just improved from, if you go by his RAS score, historically horrible to just bad, that's actually an improvement. So there are things where I don't know what kind of drills they were doing at Florida Atlantic. Maybe he got into plyometrics and he'd never done that before. I don't know how this crap works. If he just improved relative to how poor of an athlete he was before, and now he's just kind of bad as an athlete, but he kept all the other stuff, that might be a little bit of a difference. So I don't know. It was at least nice to see that he looked good. If it's the offensive line, God bless him, because that means Zach Moss is going to look good and everybody else is going to look good too. But the fact that there were a couple runs that looked encouraging, that's fun.
So it looked, and tell me if you agree with this, but it looked to me that Singletary was definitely, I think his focus may have changed. He looked more on a mission, but he was very decisive when he got to the hole.
Maybe even 4.63.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Burst of speed.
His mom was like, Hercules. Yeah, go baby. But he does. He just looked more decisive when he had a plan going into hitting the hole, and I thought that was very encouraging to see.
Yeah, that magical year 3 too. I think mentally he looks like he's in a better spot. He's COVID year, everybody got messed up there, but at least he's knows where he's at on this team. He knows that his job is on the line. If somebody outperforms you, you're going to sit on the bench while Zach Moss does all the running. So he knows what position he's in, and that he needs to take advantage of it, especially right now, given that the next guy up presumably is Zach Moss.
I want to be even-handed. Obviously, those were the pluses. Josh Thomas flashed for me. Jaquan Johnson looked good. There were some moments from Damar Hamlin. I'll say on the other side of that, Tommy Doyle didn't look great. I'm not even going to talk about Bobby Hart. He's been beat to death. I made the point. It was the worst offensive tackle performance since Chaz Green filled in for Tyron Smith, the game that Adrian Claiborne had 6 sacks because the Cowboys had to put in like a last-minute left tackle, and Adrian Claiborne earned his next 3 contracts off that one game.
You had to go deep on that one.
Yeah, it was the worst one since then. But there's an excuse for Tommy Doyle. He was coming off playing in the MAC and is an elite athlete, but is still refining. We have no plans for him this year. I hope it calmed people down of the nonsense of, oh, hey, maybe Spencer Brown's going to take Darrell Williams' job. No, he's not. The pieces like that, hey, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't going on Spot Track looking like, wait, how much money did the Cowboys give Ty and Secchi? Like, did we? Oh crap, it wasn't that much. I'm praying for the health and the top 15 that's coming up here. I'll make an argument. Maybe Deion Dawkins is number 1 now because that he cannot miss a snap. Like that dude needs to come in and play and not miss one snap all year long. So I want to be even-handed with those things. I was a little disappointed with Dane Jackson, some missed tackles, the cornerback depth also. People like to tell themselves a story for UDFAs like Elijah Griffin and late round picks like Rashad Wildgoose. They both really struggled getting torched in coverage and missing tackles. So it's early. It's first preseason game. Don't want to get overboard in either direction, but I don't want to just be rainbow and sunshine.
Well, maybe a positive. How about Marquez Stevenson?
Speedy.
Sounds
accurate.
Pretty solid for his first game. I mean, this guy's 7th round pick, correct?
6th, but yeah.
Late round pick. I mean,
when it's 4th and 10, it's 4th and 10. They know you're only doing one thing, and he still did it. That's pretty good.
I thought he looked pretty decent on kick returns as well. I mean, didn't get a lot of yardage, but didn't make any mistakes.
Nice footwork on the one. Yeah. You could tell there's a skill set there, and I think it now looks pretty firm that Isaiah McKenzie is a returner for this year. But I do think. Aaron and I in the post-game show, we kind of did a +1, -1 thing. Like, hey, nobody earned a roster spot, and nobody other than he who should not be mentioned got himself cut.
Voldemort?
He
got cut too.
If you go look at his IG, he probably believes in him too. So... Like nobody got themselves a roster spot or got themselves cut beyond there, but guys gave themselves, hey, 1 step forward, 1 step back. Andre Smith got a step forward. I think Marquez Stevenson got a step forward. For sure. There's too much of a constant drumbeat with Jake Kumaro to like now it's just undeniable that okay, I guess this is real.
Quantum Jesus. That means
so like there would have to be a heck of a come down from there. So I don't know that I see the path to the roster, but might we see some Isaiah Hodgins shenanigans there of like, oh hey, there was a college thing that Marquez needs to get taken care of. Hey Matt Breida, you can just go hang out in the parking lot for a couple hours. We're gonna release you. We'll give you like $30,000 to come back and re-sign. It's fine. That there's honestly, Jake Kumaro is one of those guys too. Kumaro got no signing bonus. There's actually no dead cap to releasing him, and he's a vested veteran. So they could just be like, we'll give you like $30,000. Just go hang out in the parking lot for a couple hours. We got to do this waiver thing. We'll re-sign you tomorrow. No big deal. I think there's a couple guys like that maybe they're worried about, can we hide them, but we don't really need them on the roster right now. Maybe it's a blessing that Isaiah Hodgins got hurt. They can just put him on IR, because I think, there's reason for needing those guys in the future. It's really hard to make a case that you need them in 2021.
Gregg, if somebody needs to make you a GM, because if you let me tell y'all something. Have y'all seen The Dictator? Y'all know when he's like, I could just see them taking out Bobby Hart.
Nope.
You'll be the best freaking GM, Gregg. I'm just saying. Let me put a bug in your ear, and I've always appreciated that you're one of those guys that like you put the fan goggles on in terms of like you have the ability to dream. You can be an analysis, a film junkie, but you can also dream and have fun. I'm going to give you something to think about, to dream and have fun. And this is for you, Gregg,
I'm excited
for you guys, and in the chat. Okay. So I was thinking, what if, because we're talking about Marquez Stevenson, what if Isaiah Hodgins has graduated to like a real wide receiver and Marquez Stevenson maybe he wins the return job? This just something to think about. And I don't think it's something that is out of the question, but everything you have to think about, everything you've heard about Isaiah McKenzie so
I thought
far,
that's who you meant.
We knew what you meant.
Yeah, sorry. It's been really good, but talking about his route running ability and how he's been able to separate with ease. Like he's growing. He's been working with Diggs and Beasley and those Emmanuel Sanders now. So what do you think about that idea?
So in a vacuum, I actually think it's spot on. I absolutely could see that. I think that there's enough value that you can make that case. The challenge you run into is there are so many other spots where they're trying to stretch, where you can make a case we need to keep 11 defensive linemen. Like literally, like you can make a case we need to keep 11 defensive linemen.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, you now might need those 7 wide receiver spots. You know, what do we do now with Terrell Dodson and Andre Smith and Terrell Adams? Like, there's just so many spots like that where, you know, now I went through and did a lot of crazy research today on what actually is in place with the Vernon Butler contract, because now, you know, it almost seems like Justin Zimmer has fully passed him and Harrison Phillips, and now it's Vernon Butler versus Harrison Phillips, and all those different spots. There's so many of those that it's hard to figure out how could we also squeeze another spot. So now it comes into, okay, who has more value now? Is it Marquez Stevenson as a kick returner versus McKenzie as a kick returner, which I think you're hard pressed to say that's a big difference. You know, I would, if you ask me in a private moment, do I think Marquez Stevenson is a slightly better kickoff return guy than McKenzie? I'd say, yeah, McKenzie's probably a better punt returner. He's just done it more often. And then McKenzie's also probably 96% of what Stevenson is as a kick returner. And if now we get to steal a roster spot that gets me to keep a Daryl Johnson, or gets me to keep a Harrison Phillips, or gets me to keep an Andre Smith or a Terrell Adams, who might be able to both play scrimmage downs at defensive end or at linebacker and be a core special teamer, that becomes a really tough battle to net out. In that, hey, now I won't be upset because Stevenson does bring a dynamic we don't have on this team. We have no one else that fast in the entire team, literally the entire roster.
Right.
Like, we don't have anybody else, offense, defense, anywhere else. Even people bring up McKenzie. McKenzie's super quick. He's not that fast.
Right.
Like, he's you know, real person fast. He's not that NFL fast. Like, he almost got caught on this kick return for the punt return against Miami. He's super quick. He's really good in short area, and he's very jittery and tough to tackle in those spots. But he's not like blow away fast. Right. Stevenson's fast. Like, he is. Yeah. That dude is fast by any standard. So I would love to find a path for that, but I'm always very pragmatic. I'm not I think a lot of people do their like armchair GMing like a dynasty football league, and are always like deferring to the cheapest, the youngest, no matter what. I want to win right now. I want to win right now. I want the best football players in 2021. I don't care Jake Kumro's 29 and I'm getting kicked around.
On that very topic, you brought up the guy that we wanted to ask you about, because we started talking about him last week, and that is Vernon Butler. And this reworked deal, normally that guarantees you a roster spot because you saved, okay, we're paying you $5 million this year guaranteed so we can cut you next year, basically. That's usually how these go. But in this case, when you have Harrison Phillips and Justin Zimmer, a draft pick in Harrison Phillips, a guy who was coming off injury and still hasn't shown his 100% back, Zimmer, who's clearly shined every opportunity he's got and is now basically, you can't cut him. There's no way you can cut him, like you said. So our argument last week was, you got to cut Vernon Butler. Take your $5 million and go home. You're not helping us on this roster. And that's my attitude right now, too, is I want the best guys who can help us. I don't care if it costs us $5 million in dead cap. Take your money and go home. You're not helping this team. What are the total? You said you dove deeper into it. What were the numbers that you came up with, the situation if we do cut Vernon Butler?
So I had to dig around for a while, and I've, very fortunately, because of the opportunities I've had with Cover One and the things that I've done, I've been able to build, somewhat of a reputation of understanding how the cap works and things like that. So I've built relationships where I have active DMs with Joel Corey and with both Jason and Brad over at Over the Cap and with Mike over at Spot Track. And I'm able to go through and dig around. And when I reach out to one of the beat reporter guys, I have good relationships with Sal and Joe and Matt and all the different guys. They know if I'm coming with a question, I've already dug through all the surface level stuff. It's something that, like, hey, there's not just regular stuff poking out there. For anybody who looked, there were different numbers everywhere. Yeah. So you had Joe Biscaglia was referencing one number. there was a different number on Spot Track, there was a different number on Over the Cap, and all kinds of different things out there. But like, okay, what is his actual contract status? So I went through and was in DMs with Joel, with Brad, with Mike, with Joe, all those guys for a couple hours today, being like, okay, hey, why is this here? Who has this here? Why is that there? It came down to basically two different things. Earlier this spring, when the Bills and Vernon Butler agreed to a pay cut, there was phrasing in the contract that guaranteed $1.5 million. Now, the way that they did it, when they did the contract sheets, it came out as guaranteed for, and it's like skill, injury, cap, and then they had kind of a $0 cap hit for it on the paperwork. And it kind of threw some people off. And normally, what I've learned now is that pretty common parlance in the contract phrasing is if it says skill, injury, cap, that means fully guaranteed. Those are the three things that you can have. You can have guaranteed just for injury, or separately, skill and cap mean you're deciding, hey, either for cap reasons or for a degradation in play, we're cutting you. If it says it's guaranteed for those reasons, and those can't be reasons that you cut him, there are no other reasons. It's either cap, skill, or injury. Those are the three reasons. So if it says that, that actually means fully guaranteed. That had to be netted out by a couple people, and by, I am a second tier source. I don't have actual sources. I know people who have sources. So that literally had to go back and forth to confirm, yes, that's the phrasing, that's what the contract is. Then there was some difference of what the cap number was, because different people had it. So we actually researched with the Bills cap sheet with the NFLPA, they had it at 5.8 million, not 5.3 million. So the way that they did the roster bonus that they paid out earlier and how that was done, that changed that number. So, and then there was also a $100,000 workout bonus. Well, he skipped OTAs. So do you get your workout bonus if you skip the OTAs? Mm-hmm. That's actually the only one that's still pending. We don't know the answer to that one. But what it netted out to was, up until today, I was of the impression there was no cap savings and that there was no additional money to be saved by releasing him, and that it was purely, sunk cost fallacy, that, hey, we don't want to waste the money, so we might as well keep him. And it was going to be, hey, we have to pay him not to be here because it's simply worth it to have Harrison Phillips and Justin Zimmer in the roster spots. Mm-hmm. What I confirmed today is there is either 1.7 or 1.8, depending on how they handle that workout bonus, of cap savings to be able to do that, or 3.2 million if he's traded, which, Beans pulled a lot of rabbits out of a lot of hats over the year. That's one would be a magic trick to behold if he gets somebody to take on.
It's a much bigger number, but yeah.
Oh, well, and the one part is the Bills already paid the roster bonus. The signing bonus is already done. The guarantee part goes with, but you're actually only taking on a $3 million contract. So Vernon Butler is, I'll compare it to like Trent Williams in past years, or Trent Murphy in past years, where people got so frustrated because of the value that they conflated that with, oh, he's trash and doesn't deserve to be on an NFL roster. Vernon Butler is not worth his contract. He's going to sign with someone. Like, if we release him, he's going to sign with someone.
Yes.
He's going to play in the NFL this year. So there's a non-zero chance that Bean could get somebody to take that $3 million deal and that we net a little bit extra. So I dug around with all that, kind of figured out where it fell. I don't know that it's the difference, but it's enough for me that 1.7 million is not nothing. And now with Justin Zimmer looks great. And Harrison Phillips has come back stronger than last year and had a lot of really nice...
Butler did have that injury too, right? I don't know how that factors in. Now it's like that IR situation too, where you could... he would still have to make the 53, but then you could put him on the IR. If
and you can. There are some reasons that you could hide somebody there in case of injury later on. I had a couple of people ask me, well, why didn't they just cut him at the beginning? And, at that point, I actually would have preferred that. I would have preferred Quentin Jefferson and, just cutting him outright. But at that time, was Justin Zimmer just a flash in the pan? Was Harrison Phillips going to take another step forward back from rehab? Did Star Lotulelei have anything coming back? We didn't know any of the answer to those. It seems like all three of them have ended somewhat favorably, but we didn't know that at the time. So you can't fault Bean for using Butler like an insurance policy. And if you're going to do that, also to get a pay cut, it's about as good as you can do.
Yeah.
So yes, in hindsight, if we had known Starr was going to look in phenomenal shape and Phillips was going to put on all that bulk and Zimmer was going to sustain what he showed during last year, of course he just would have cut him. And it would have been fine. And we would have saved, I think it's probably going to end up costing us an extra $3 million, $2.5 million of what it would have.
Right.
But that's how insurance works. You don't know you need it at the time, and you never need insurance until you need it. So it's just kind of how that works.
Greg, you do this part time.
That's a full-time job.
I had a couple of things.
Full-time jobs.
I do have for sure 2 full-time jobs. You can ask my wife.
I was gonna say.
But yeah, I have a couple of them where people will ask me some of the numbers often enough where I just start to rattle off some of the cap figures off the top of my head because I've done them so many times. They're like, yeah, no, that one's 12.7. I know it is because we I've already looked up how
Bill's
that would work.
assistant GM, Greg Tompsett here.
Greg
to the assistant GM.
Greg is freaking salary cap Rain Man. I mean, this dude, he'd be over here, he'd be killing it. So I have one more for you to think about, though.
All right.
So we're talking about cuts, right? Here's another one for you guys to think about. And then we're going to get into the topic of conversation here in just a moment. So stick with us. Matt Hawk, okay? And Taiwan Jones. Okay, these are the 2 player parallels that I want to bring up right now because I want you guys' opinion on this. And Greg, we'll start with you. Do you think it's possible that Taiwan Jones gets cut, and we know he's a great special teams gunner, but you brought in a precision punter and Matt Hawk, this guy, he was 4th with punts with 30 inside the 20, and he has a really good hang time of 4.43 seconds of air time. So if you have that, I think it kind of makes Taiwan Jones expendable for someone like, Daryl Johnson, right? What are your thoughts on a possibility of a move like that?
So I get the thought process. I would say the logic that a really good precision punter getting more out of bounds inside the 20, fair catch inside the 20, avoiding returns does make the value of a gunner slightly less. I wouldn't take it as far as expendable. I do think it still matters. And I actually think kind of similar to our Vernon Butler conversation, there are probably some things in hindsight that they would go back and question. Taiwan Jones got like $700,000 in guaranteed money, almost half his contract. And he didn't get the minimum. He got like 1.6 and change. It was a bit more with what he got in a roster bonus and a signing bonus than what a standard minimum guy gets. So it's possible. Obviously them sitting him along with Josh Allen and Mitch Morris and the other guys in the preseason game is a pretty good indicator. He's not injured. They just sat him because, hey, we know what we have. I liked it that when I was at the open practices, I saw Matt Breida practicing at gunner. So the exact same conversation I had last year where, hey, I want Andre Roberts and I want Isaiah McKenzie. I just wanted to be one human. I just wanted to be one roster spot. Would I prefer that Taiwan Jones was also something else of, what I would rather a Saran Neal where, hey, there's at least some functional scrimmage value and a great special teams gunner, whereas Taiwan Jones is purely there. And, maybe Matakevich has a little bit of linebacker value, but he's pretty close. But I'd prefer it to be a Jake Kumaro or, honestly, Daryl Johnson's not far. I give Daryl Johnson the potential to develop. Last year, he was a bad defensive end. He was just a good special teams player, but he wasn't a good defensive end. So, I would always prefer that your special teamers have scrimmage value and can do more. So I don't love paying Taiwan Jones to just be a gunner, but he is pretty good at it. It's a 1-year deal. They already kind of committed to it there, and they need that spot, and I don't know that they have an obvious alternative of the other guy who would do it instead, because you still need someone, like, even if, like you said, it's maybe less often, there's more fair catches. You also have to remember, a fair catch is only forced if a gunner gets there in time to make the guy say, oh crap, I don't have time to return. So if you have somebody who gets blocked more easily, gets run out of bounds more easily, that guy might not fair catch it and might return it and run with it. So the getting the gunner there in time is what makes the hang time more valuable, because you need the guy to get there and intimidate the returner to say, oh crap, I better wave and not get hit.
Okay. All right. So Eric, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that before we go into the topic of conversation tonight?
No, I think we're good. I think we got to move on.
Okay.
Get to the
All
topic.
Right. So this is why we have you guys here tonight. So we've been talking. Who are the top 15 most influential, critical Bills players on the roster right now that's critical for the Super Bowl run? Okay. And instead of going 15, there's 15 players that we picked out, 15 to 1. We went from 1 to 15. And so the three of us in our little group text, one was Josh Allen, right? That's just a dead giveaway because we're all going to know that. But It was first name you think of, you have to put it in there and go. And so we came up with a top 15. Okay. So number 15 on the list, and you guys are all going to take a stab at this. I'm going to keep my opinion. I talk a lot on here. So you guys are here because I want to hear your opinion. So at number 15, we have Taron Johnson. Taron Johnson, number 15. Who wants to take a stab at that first? Greg, go.
I can go.
Okay, Eric, go ahead. Greg and then Anthony.
I mean, Taron Johnson's really come into his own, I think, as a slot corner. He's got to be a top 10 slot corner in the league, in my opinion. But, I mean, on the field, 77% of defensive snaps last year. I mean, this is the base defense. He's on the field a ton. I think the team relies on him. He made some key plays last year. Now a Bills legend. We all know this. I mean, to win a Super Bowl, though, I think he's got to be solid. Just because, Tyreek Hill played 50% of his snaps in the slot last season. And those are the type of guys that, they need to disrupt. You're never going to stop, Tyreek Hill from going over the top with his speed, but you can disrupt him at the line. And that's really challenging, especially, for Taron Johnson, because he can go anywhere. There's a lot more space in the slot than there is on the outside. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot more responsibility. And I think Taron Johnson has certainly grown. This guy was a late round draft pick as well from a small school, Sacramento State. And I think he's a key player on this defense now. Mm-hmm. He's come a long way, and it's also a contract year for him. So I think big things for him, and the team's relying on him big time.
First off, how dare you besmirch the name of Weber State?
Weber State, Sacramento.
Second,
in Sacramento.
Do you know who played the most snaps at slot corner in the NFL last year? It's Taron Johnson.
Was it him? Okay.
And it's
the Bills base. Yeah, makes sense.
So going through, I like him there at 15. I think it's very fair to be able to evaluate from that spot, more so because of the lack of alternative. Like I don't know who else we would, Saran Neal.
I'd say, right?
Saran Neal started at nickel corner in the preseason game. I don't see anything right now from Wild Goose or any of those guys. I don't know that the maybe the positives and the physicality from Dane Jackson would translate there, but certainly not the short area quickness. That's not his strength. So from from that kind of scenario, he's done a great job. He's a day 3 draft pick from a small school who has come in and just been a starter from the moment he stepped into the team in a contract year. So I'm curious. He's more of the Levi Wallace, Isaiah McKenzie re-signing for me than some big extension. If somebody wants to throw a bunch of money at him, I'll be really hesitant about what that would be. Or it would be because he steps forward and has a great year, in which case that's a great problem to have. I think he's reliable. I think he's solid. And I think it's fair to put him at 15. I think that's a reasonable spot.
All right, Anthony?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what the guys said already. Contract year, I think that's one of the biggest things. Again, the way we put this list together was guys who have to perform well for the Bills to make a Super Bowl run here. And I think Taron Johnson is going to be important. Let's not forget, as Greg kind of mentioned in the beginning of last year, by week 4 and 5, Taron Johnson was getting benched and we were trying anybody else out there, right? Cam Lewis got action. So it was he needs to be more consistent. What we need is the Taron Johnson that we saw in the playoffs when he was a ball magnet and making plays, and the story of the year really with that play against Baltimore, and less of the inconsistencies that we saw at the beginning of last year. And I think being in a contract year is going to do that for him. I was 100% going to say exactly what Gregg said, that in the best case scenario, the Bills do not have Taron Johnson on the roster next year. And that is because he balls out this season and he gets a huge deal somewhere else. And I don't think the Bills have the expendable money at this point to also invest a big deal.
Give me a Mitch Trubisky and a Taron Johnson compensatory pick.
Absolutely, yes. And especially in that situation. Because if he makes that run, as this list implies, the Bills are going to be in contention for a Super Bowl for sure. Okay. So at that number 3 corner, as the guy said too, he plays a lot. He's the default out there. If we're in defense, he's out there unless we're doing something special. So, right. I mean, he needs to step up for sure.
All right, so let's keep him. We got to get Gregg out of here. He's got to go cook some steak. So, Gregg, one more here. Okay, so number 14 on the list is our guy, Emmanuel Sanders. So, Gregg, we'll let you do this one, and then when you're done, you can bow out whatever you want to do. And then Eric and Anthony, you'll finish up with Emmanuel Sanders and go.
Super sneaky addition. So, if you go and look up the term on Twitter, wide receiver 1 John Brown, you'll see my name. Like I am a huge John Brown fan. Emmanuel Sanders is an upgrade. Like for what Josh Allen likes, and Josh Allen likes guys with elite route running to create separation and to give visual openings so you can see them flash, and Josh Allen knows when they're going to cut and has a howitzer connected where most people have a right shoulder, and he can fire the ball in there because he can see them get open. So John Brown had a skill set that was really valuable. His deep speed would scare cornerbacks, and he would either get the deep ball or that free 15-yarder over and over again. And I loved it. Like, it was just a great way to do that. I got to tell you, being there at practice and watching the route running, Emmanuel Sanders is crazy quick.
Yes.
Crazy quick. Yes. Like, it is remarkable to see how, even at 34, like there were times where like, oh my gosh, you see Diggs run that route. Oh my gosh, that was Emmanuel Sanders. Like you thought it was Stephon Diggs. Like he is so explosive in and out of his routes. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to have a sneaky season. I was just a guest on a fantasy show the other day. And somebody had asked, we were going through the Bills roster and all the different pieces. And I said, for where you can get him, which is like a 12th or 13th or 14th round pick, I'm like, it's worth it to take a stab in the dark because everyone is just penciling in Gabe Davis as from outside Buffalo as wide receiver 2 because, he was great last year and they lost John Brown and it would be there. And again, Emmanuel Sanders is old. He's not going to do anything. Emmanuel Sanders is going to be the number 2 receiver for the Bills this year. Cole Beasley's still elite in his role. He's going to get a ton of targets. He's still amazing slot receiver. Emmanuel Sanders is going to be the number 2 receiver, and he's going to have a big year.
Wow. Y'all heard it here first. Gregg, before we let you get out of here, can you please tell everyone how they can find you and your work?
Absolutely. So you come find me on Twitter at Gregg Tompsett. You can find me in the Cover One Buffalo podcast at the Cover One Fantasy Show, our new show, playing around there with doing some things from a fantasy standpoint. You can find me in the Cover One Slack channel. If you join as a premium member, you get to come and hang out with us and talk back and forth all the time. And then jumping on and hanging out with you or with Anthony and Disguise Coverage and all the other fun guys we have on the Buffalo Cover One platform, having a good time and enjoying everything back and forth. So everybody have a nice night. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks again, Gregg.
Right,
appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so adding on what Gregg said about Emmanuel Sanders, I mean, we all know that I've been an Emmanuel Sanders stan. I'm like, yes, I've wanted this guy for a long time on this team. When I saw him play in Denver, exactly what Gregg said he still has. The speed, the elusiveness on the field. He stands out when you see him on the field with your own eyes. And the fact that he can have that reliable connection like he did with a Peyton Manning, where you have a quarterback who can see you and throw it to you and make it towards you when you're open or even when you're not. He has the hands to catch. He has the route running ability. He has that breakaway speed. I have been high on Emmanuel Sanders. I do also believe that he will be the Bills' primary number 2 wide receiver. And that's going to get him enough reps that maybe he does what Gregg says and has a huge year. Let's hope so.
So yeah, I think,
go ahead.
Josh's strength is intermediate part of the field, right?
Yes.
Last year it was over the middle in the intermediate part of the field. Josh and Cole Beasley's relationship has grown. I mean, Josh is just so comfortable with those little, quick routes, quick outs in the intermediate part of the field. And that's where Emmanuel Sanders' strength is. I think after playing with Drew Brees last year, I mean, you could see this guy has the knowledge. He can find the hole in the zone really fast. He's got crazy athleticism for his age. I mean, yeah, I don't think Gregg's crazy to say he could become the number 2 receiver. You just got to wonder, like, how they're going to scheme it up, right? And I think, let's not forget, Emmanuel Sanders can play on the outside as well. He can play at any position, and I think that's added value.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Bills to win the Super Bowl, we got to make Josh Allen comfortable.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel Sanders absolutely contributes to that.
So Brian asked, will we miss the speed of John Brown? Yeah, I think John Brown has he has a trait. He's great speed. But I think you're not gonna miss that much. I think what Emmanuel Sanders offers you in terms of route running ability at all 3 levels. And he's not slow himself. I think we'll be okay. And if a guy like Marquez Stevenson makes the roster, and Stephon Diggs is faster than what people actually give him credit for.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is. So I think we're okay with not having John Brown on this roster. I think, Emmanuel Sanders definitely fits the bill there. No pun intended.
Yeah, and I do think even if Marquez Stevenson doesn't make the opening day roster, the 53, he will be back on the practice squad in the least. And if that does become an issue, like, hey, we need to breakaway speed, clearly that's what we're missing, then they won't hesitate to bring him up and give him some play. That Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have showed that in the past. If there's something they're missing and they keep it on the practice squad for that reason, hey, if this is something we need later, we'll still have access to it. I don't think we'll miss John Brown because of that. Emmanuel Sanders is the better receiver. We did a whole show on that overall. And then with keeping a speedy guy, at least on your queue, ready to go on the practice squad, is always a good idea.
All right, so let's get to the last one tonight. So we are going to, before the season, we're going to do the rest of these guys. So tonight was 15, 14, 13. Okay. And we're going to get to the rest of the list in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking about these guys, but I think these are topics that are important because you have to really think about, and you have to be excited that the Bills are actually real Super Bowl contenders. Am I hearing myself speak here? The Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are a real freaking Super Bowl contender. And this season's going to be crazy. All the eyes are going to be on the Bills this year. They are. All of our preseason games are televised. Tell me when the last time that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time, and I had preseason and all that, but people want to see the Bills. People want to see Josh Allen and that contract. People want to see Stephon Diggs, right? People want to see it. People want to see it. So
2 Thanksgiving games in 3 years.
Ooh, yeah,
that's
right.
Big time. That's big
and
time.
Your name is not the Lions or Cowboys, so that's
yeah. So
let's go.
Look, the stars are aligning, and if you're not on the ship, if you're not on the train, you need to get on it. There's still some tickets available. All right, we're not going to close all the doors. So if you want to jump on, I'll give you tickets myself. You can jump on, and we got you. But the Bills could be going to the Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. Listen, and I know, there's people, Kansas City's in the way. Great. But guess what? Mahomes didn't make it to the Super Bowl in his first try, right? The Bills are, when I don't even think it's the offense that's going to carry the Bills to the Super Bowl this year. I think it's going to be the defense. And with that being said, the next guy that we're going to bring up here is this man right here, Jerry Hughes. Jerry Hughes is he's going to pay dividends this year. And I know, he hasn't had the production or the sack numbers that you want to see, but I've kind of changed my stance on quarterback pressures, right? And effective pressures, let's just say, how you, dictate by pressure where the quarterback goes with the ball. Sometimes, that's as good as the sack as you're going to get. We're talking in the era where offenses are players are releasing the ball extremely fast. And let me tell you, if you're one of those quarterbacks that thinks you're going to hold on to the ball against the Buffalo Bills now, Patrick Mahomes, it ain't happening because you got guys that are coming to get you. The Bills have athletes on the defensive line, and it's going to be great. So Jerry Hughes, Anthony, we'll start with you. Eric will end with you.
I've been hyping up the Jerry Hughes train for sure because I've said, even though he didn't have the stats last year, the pass rush game starts and ends with Jerry Hughes, period. No matter all these guys they brought in, Addison on the team still, whoever else is there, when teams are planning to face the Buffalo Bills, they look at where Jerry Hughes is and what he's doing. And we did a whole show last week on the defensive line where we talked about the fact that these young guys, these guns, these guys who can come in can allow Jerry Hughes to focus on what he does best and can allow the other teams are going to have to plan for both sides, where Jerry Hughes is and the other guy on the other side. And I truly believe that still Jerry Hughes will lead the team in sacks this year, that he will still be the leader on the team, on the defensive line, on the defensive side, really. And he's the guy. This defense and this defensive line has to be led by Jerry Hughes. And I firmly believe for the last 3 years, at least, it's been that way. And it's going to continue into this season. And that production will catch up. Those plays that he had, getting to the quarterback or pass rushes, effective rushes, whatever you want to call them, without a sack, that's going to catch up. He's going to get some sacks this year because of that. And the other side is coming as well. So that quarterback has to go somewhere, and he's going to get stuck in Jerry Hughes' arms more than once or twice this season.
I actually think Jerry Hughes' production will go down. His snaps will go down. He's had 600, between 668 and 669 defensive snaps the last 3 seasons. I think that goes down because why? You have, Gregg Rousseau and Basham on the field. You would like to see them take some of those away from him. I think he's really important for the Bills to win a Super Bowl because he's got to teach these guys how to be pros, right? Hopefully he can speed up their production. Jerry Hughes last season, 25 quarterback pressures. That's a lot. It led the team. And he's a big part of getting to the quarterback, but you would like to see him take a mentor role and maybe push along some of these young guys, so they can get up to speed faster. So I think he has a bigger role in that side than he does the production side this upcoming season.
Don't disrespect my guy like that.
Okay.
He's getting up
he
there.
He might be the old man in the room, but he's still got it. I'm telling you.
34?
Doesn't matter who else is there. Yes.
He old enough.
Yeah, he's getting there.
That man old enough.
Yeah.
No, and to someone's point, to Gregg, no disrespect, slander your name, my guy. It's one of those things where it's just a wake-up call. It's like we as Bills fans, we have been conditioned to be a perennial loser, right? Over the past 20 years. And I think, those of you guys who are in the chat and who follow our content for film analysis and opinions and so forth and hot takes, you get it. But there's still, with you guys, we're only talking about a percentage of Bills Mafia. Where there's casual Bills Mafia fans who still have the poverty mindset that like there's nothing good that can happen to old Buffalo. Those days are over. Those are the glory days and so forth. And it's cool. I have to even wake myself up sometimes and go, no, man, like it could happen. Like we were at the AFC Championship game last year. And we were all going crazy, right? And now you look at it and you go, on a good day, there's not a team in the NFL that's remarkably better than the Bills or that the Bills cannot beat. And if the Bills had a good defense last year, the defense was middle of the road to average to below average in some areas, in critical areas. If they had what McDermott has perennially had, it was top 5 defenses or top 10 defenses. I'm telling you, like the Bills represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That's just what it is. So this year, I think this is the deepest Bills team that we've seen in some time. And I think we're going to see some dividends pay off on that. So anything else before we get out of here, guys, that you want to talk about?
What are we going to see? We're going to see Josh Allen this week, Saturday against the
Great
Bears.
Great question. Maybe I think maybe a series. I think one series.
Yeah. Reports today he went 15 for 15 in the first scrimmage.
Crazy. He had another electric day. It's been that every day from camp, it seems. They're like, oh, by the way, Josh Allen had an amazing day again.
And can we see Zach Moss at some point? Would be nice.
I love the fact he just brought up Josh Allen because, it was for us. Tell me if you guys felt this way. Did you feel like, okay, Josh had a really great season, but was there any fear that, can he keep it up? Can it be consistent? I did. I'm like, and I know the
Well,
analysis.
you have to ask that.
But you got to be honest with yourself,
right?
You have to ask that question. But when you look at the data, if you will, as a scientist, of course, you look at the data, and we've made the argument on this show before that he's going to continue to get better. Number one, that's his mentality as a human being. I've praised him for that. You don't need to be a football analyst to know that Josh Allen has that drive and determination to get better. And, when you look at his football stats and numbers and what he's been able to do, he continues to get better. So do you ask the question? Yes, you worry about that. Can it happen? Yes, it's a real possibility. But is it likely to happen? Very unlikely in with everything we've seen that he's been capable of doing. And now we've seen it in the preseason, as you've said, in the practices at least, not the preseason game, but he's having phenomenal warm-up to the season. Yeah, and he's making his own teammates on defense look bad because
I would say
he's blowing it up.
There's definitely some fear last season. He came out hot early. First 4 games looked great.
Can he maintain it?
Were we going to be able to maintain that throughout the season? Had a couple low games, Kansas City, Tennessee. But really, what got over the hump for me in Josh's development from watching him was the playoff game when they needed a drive against the Colts. Josh put it together and delivered. I think it was like a 80+ yard drive. And that was a big key to winning that game because the Bills, I thought, got outplayed. And the reason they won is because Josh was able to put a drive together and the defense stepped up, obviously. But then you go on to Baltimore and he doesn't make mistakes. And I mean, it's what a grown-up quarterback looks like. I think he's only going to get better.
Great point, fellas.
And the sky's the limit.
Yeah, you guys bring up a really good point with Josh Allen and the fact that what he's able to do late in games, and when he's on, he's on. Like when he's on his game, there's I don't think there's a better quarterback in the league when Josh Allen's on his game. When you combine what he can do as a passer and as a runner, I don't think there's a better quarterback in the game when Josh Allen. Really hold on, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the physical ability that Josh Allen does. Josh Allen is a unicorn quarterback. I mean, let's be real. Can we just be real for a second? He is. And when he's on his game, look, me and Spence were talking about this last night. If you put Josh Allen on Tampa, if you put Josh Allen on the Chiefs, if you would have put Josh Allen on the Rams, those are guaranteed Super Bowl teams because they have the other pieces in place to supplement a quarterback. Josh Allen doesn't always have to be savior and hero. Right. Last year he did. He had to do everything last year. And the team benefited from it. But just think, Brandon Beane built this team to play with the lead. We talked about this a few weeks ago. And that's why he doubled down on the trenches, because he saw that's where we got beat up the most against Kansas City was in the trenches. And so Indianapolis handed us. We almost lost that game because they dominated us in the trenches on both sides of the football. So that was an area of emphasis going in this offseason. And you got guys coming back from COVID. You got guys coming back from injury, Harrison Phillips. You got guys maturing and developing at Oliver. And then you go out and get Gregory Rousseau, Carlos Basham, et cetera, et cetera. We could talk about this all day. F.A. Obata. This defensive line, we talked about it, is better than the 2015 Carolina Panthers. This is the best defensive line Sean McDermott has fielded as a defensive coordinator and head coach since 2009 with the Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely. So you have to put some respect on that man, Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott's name. But I love the point and the facts that you guys bring about Josh Allen because, you forget about, like, it's just the clutch ability. And here's another one to add. The Arizona game. That throw that he made to Stephon Diggs in the end zone. Come on. Like, damn. Like, people don't understand how hard of a throw that is to make. And what Stephon, I mean, dude, that shit is incredible.
Well, that was one of the other points I was going to bring up about Josh Allen having this remarkable training camp and everything that he's been the highlight every single day of what every reporter is writing out there that is seeing it with their own eyes. Stephon Diggs hasn't been there for 2.5 weeks. He's not playing right now. And Josh Allen is still lighting it up with the guys who are there. So you know that when Diggs is back, he adds a whole new dynamic. And McDermott has come out and said it's not a super concern about Diggs not being there for week 1. So they're just being careful with their star wide receiver. They're saying, hey, you're not ready to come back. You could probably play right now, but we don't need you to. So relax, let Josh figure out his chemistry with these other guys. We know you're going to step in and bring it right back when you're ready to go. So the fact that he's doing this without Stephon Diggs, who a lot of people wanted to say that's why he was so good last year, right? Oh, it was all Diggs. Yeah, right. One guy can't do that and turn the quarterback into a star. Was it better that he had a weapon like Diggs? Abso-freaking-lutely. But Josh Allen gets that credit too, not just Diggs. And we'll see when Diggs is back.
Anthony,
it's going to be electric.
Damn point. That's a great damn point.
It's going to be electric.
Tell me a franchise quarterback or a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm not saying Josh Allen's Hall of Famer, but I think he will be. That didn't have a prime wide receiver. Troy Aikman, who did he have? Michael Irvin.
Sure.
Steve Young, who did he have? The greatest, Jerry Rice. I mean, you could go on and on and on with these guys. They all had guys like Stephon Diggs. So kill that noise that you know, and it's people from Minnesota that say this shit.
Yeah, right.
That Josh Allen ain't nothing, and because Stephon Diggs made Josh Allen, but Stephon Diggs had his best year in football in his entire life with Josh Allen and not Kirk Cousins. But we don't want to talk about that now, do we?
Right. Let me ask you this: are the Bills a complete roster? Is there room to grow?
Always,
because we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. I feel like that's a complete roster in Green Bay. They have an outstanding offensive line, good run game. Devontae Adams is a top 5 receiver. You know, their defense is solid. I mean, that's what it takes to win Super Bowls, in my opinion, is having a complete roster like that. And I think,
but their culture,
if you measured,
shit. We know that,
and the Bills are definitely growing. Their roster's getting better. But if you compared Green Bay's roster to the Bills' roster last year, Green Bay's is far superior.
Definitely. And the Bills were still able to match.
Like you said, Josh Allen carried the team last year. They don't have the running game that Green Bay has.
Well, the injuries too. Would Green Bay look that way if they had, you know, 2 of their biggest defensive stars injured, or, you know, the way that the Bills did at linebacker, right? That was probably the biggest injury concern for us last year on the defensive side, both our linebackers.
And they didn't have David Bakhtiari. I mean, he was, now Darrell Williams is good, but David Bakhtiari is better than both Deion Dawkins and Darrell Williams.
Yeah,
so, I mean, you're right. The Packers roster it's pretty tough to say, like, okay, they don't have many holes.
But I'll say it again,
probably.
The culture is shit. And we know that because Aaron Rodgers has made it that way. Even if the other 52 guys feel differently.
I don't know. I can't say.
That the situation with Aaron Rodgers has made everybody in that room know that they have to be thinking, oh, next year we're screwed, or next year this whole team's going to shit, or whatever it is. It's not good dynamics when your quarterback doesn't want to talk to the GM and the front office and all that. So I'd much rather be in the Bills situation with that. And there is something to be said to whatever percentage you want to apply to the game. Even if it's only 1% of the entire game, that's still a lot. McDermott has emphasized culture, has done well with culture. Anybody, even the guys that get cut or traded are like, hey, McDermott, that team, they're doing things right. They're great. And that's when you know it's like, damn, this is legit. Even the guys we're sending packing are saying good things about us. So, you know, I'd much rather have that situation than the Packers with maybe the better roster, but unknown future and leadership in the front office.
And I can't go on record saying that the Packers culture is just straight trash, homie. I do think, but I can agree in the sense that, you know, the Packers mismanaged Aaron Rodgers. He only has 1 Super Bowl, and we're talking about one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation. From a physical standpoint, from between the ears, how he analyzes the game, he's one of the best. And you only got 1 Super Bowl out of him. They've incredibly mismanaged him. So I usually tend to side with the players on this kind of stuff because, look, man, they never were active up until a few years ago, active in free agency. They're letting guys walk. I mean, you heard Aaron Rodgers just straight up go off in a press conference, man. This dude's telling you, look, y'all ain't did shit. You're letting all these good guys go. Micah Hyde, thank you. We'll take them. But how many guys did they let walk out the door because they didn't want to pay him?
I don't know. I have a hard time believing that they.
I know, because you're owner guy. Because you think like an owner. Well, I think like a player.
They've also been in the playoffs 10 times in the last 12 years.
The GM has put together a great roster there. There's no
back-to-back 13 wins been in the
Every
championship
team
game how
has
many
to make
times?
tough decisions.
You
but-
got to get over the hump, and that's on the quarterback. Get over
No,
the
it's
hump.
not. You're Eric.
Get to the
I love you to
championship
death.
game and not make
no,
the
no,
playoffs.
no.
It comes
You're
down to
wrong.
one pass.
How many? Hold on. Let me. I'm about to go in on you. How many Super Bowls does Dan Marino have? None. He has freaking none.
But
Okay,
maybe he was mismanaged, but I don't think
Today's
ain't the
NFL is
NBA.
a little different, though.
This ain't the NBA. This ain't
Today's
the NBA.
NFL is a little different because
what could
quarterbacks
Green
normally
Bay do
control
better
that.
for Aaron Rodgers? They have one of the best receivers in the league, one of the best rosters in the league.
Consistently have better offensive line play. Consistently
have the best offensive line in the league.
Now they don't have the best offensive line in the league.
They have.
No. They have a top 5 offensive line now, but we're talking about the entirety of his career. The entirety of his career, they have not put pieces around him to succeed. He's constantly taken guys and made them better.
Yes.
You mean to tell me Jordy Nelson was great? Get the F out of here. Jordy Nelson was a guy. He's good. But Aaron Rodgers made a lot of these guys, man.
I mean, look,
on
how many
defense.
Super Bowls does Elam have?
Yet.
How many Super Bowls does Wes Welker have?
Because
you know what I'm saying?
they put
quarterbacks are supposed to do that.
No. The Patriots put a better team around Brady than the Packers did around Rodgers. And I know you think like an owner, and I appreciate you for that. That's what makes our show so awesome and diverse, because we have different perspectives. But I'm not going to sit here and let you say that.
We all had this discussion in real time when Aaron Rodgers started coming out saying he didn't want to play for Beck. And Sterling and I were on the same page. Like, you have Aaron freaking Rodgers, one of the greatest players to ever play the position. You give him whatever he asks for. You want to play to goddamn gold? You want something on the field? Because you know what? No matter how well that roster is built, no matter how good of a team they have, you take Aaron Rodgers off that team and they're contending to win the division. They are not guaranteed to win the division. They are not in the NFC Championship game. They are contenders, and that is not good enough. They're lose good. Aaron Rodgers, the guy, and your team is average. They're no longer the team in the NFC, because right now they're the team in the NFC. That one guy makes all the difference. It's the same thing with Josh Allen on the Bills.
I got it.
The Bills have emphasized and built things differently, but if Josh Allen was saying, I want a golden toilet seat and draft me a number 1 wide receiver, even though you already got 4, the Bills would make it work, because you have Josh Allen and you need to keep him happy. He's not that kind of diva that Aaron Rodgers is, obviously, and there's a lot of pros that come along with that. But when you have that quarterback who's proven time and time again that he's one of the best ever, you got to do what he needs. And they've consistently done the opposite of what he's asked them to do, which is only irking him more.
Okay, so Eric, I'm going to let you, and Don, thank you for your super chat here. Let's read this. And Eric, I'm going to let you do the super chat, and then you're going to defend yourself against Anthony here. She says, Aaron has outplayed his teams and brought up his players. He is the best quarterback of my generation, and management ignored him. And I agree with her in terms of from a skill standpoint, he is the best talentedly skilled quarterback of our generation.
Yes.
And that's not debatable in my opinion. So go ahead, Eric. I'll let you go ahead and address this.
Aaron Rodgers is absolutely, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. But I think Green Bay has they've done a lot to help him out as well. I mean, Devontae Adams has got to be a top 5 receiver. What in your opinion could they have done? Drafted a receiver in the first round?
Is that what Aaron Rodgers wanted? Then yes.
That's it. A team with a successful record like Green Bay, though, it's hard to say that they could have did more. They've made the playoffs 10 out of the last 12
you're
years.
missing the point. They did nothing. Aaron Rodgers did. Yes, they put the team around him. Yes, they built it. But Aaron Rodgers is the guy on the field making it happen for your entire organization. You keep him happy.
Give him what, though? You haven't answered my question.
Aaron Rodgers, whatever he asks for.
What, you want a water boy? Is that going to win games? He won 13 games the last 2 years.
If Aaron Rodgers steps in the front door and says, I want you to draft a wide receiver in the first round, I want you to draft a wide receiver in the second round, and I want you to wide receiver in the third round, guess what? You do it because you have Aaron freaking Rodgers. And again,
I agree. He should have a say. But
this is a lot about managing the personality, too.
Yes.
Because we've already talked about Josh Allen will never be in this situation.
Sure.
Josh Allen will never be in this situation. But you have Aaron freaking Rodgers, and the guy's a diva, and he's a special kind of guy.
Hold on, Anthony. Let him talk, though.
Give me one quarterback that has gotten 100% what they want from the team.
You can't.
100%. But this is a different
Why did Brady
situation
leave?
because
They don't do
Aaron
it.
Hold on, Anthony. Let him finish.
Go ahead.
Well, Tom Brady, same thing, right? He's complaining they didn't get enough talent for him. This guy has 7 Super Bowl rings. I mean, it doesn't add up to me.
Well, you didn't say that.
The only guy who never really complained about it, in my opinion, is probably Peyton Manning. I can't think of an instance where he complained about not having
openly
enough, but he did have a lot. But they weren't first-round talent. Reggie Wayne wasn't a first-round receiver. Marvin Harrison wasn't a first-round receiver.
Yeah. So, but the point here is that
quarterbacks are supposed to.
But look,
Aaron Rodgers is a special kind of diva, and he specifically said, "Do this for me, make me happy, or I'm leaving." And when that's the scenario, you have no choice but to do it.
Is Matt Stafford a good quarterback?
Yes.
Yes. Is Kelvin Johnson a great receiver?
Absolutely.
Did that help them win games?
Hold on. So what you just did is blasphemy. So stop it. You know I love you. Stop it. The Lions are extremely bad at mismanaging rosters. Okay, but I get where you're going, and you have to kind of marry the two worlds here, because both of you guys are right in some respects. Here we go. Here, Eric, I'm kind of taking your role right now. You have to look at it from you have to be relevant with the times. Okay, so when we talk about guys like Jim Kelly, we talk about guys like Dan Marino, we talk about guys. Ben Roethlisberger early in his career, those kind of quarterbacks and I would think authority structures. I think it's a little bit different, and it also depends on where you come up, where you grow up from. You have to look in the era we live in, where players have more of a voice. They're more vocal. They have an opinion. You see a lot of things come out on social media, where back in the day, a lot of the things were behind closed doors. And Aaron Rodgers is right. And what he has to say, because they've mismanaged the situation. Now, I'll give you credit. Aaron Rodgers, you can always say you could do more, right? But from a team standpoint, in the NFL, it takes more than just one guy. And Tom Brady won with more. I mean, he had more guys. I mean, and you have the best defensive mind to ever put a headset on, and Bill Belichick. Those kind of things matter. Those kind of game planning shows up on Super Bowl days. Those things show up consistently. So you guys both are right. It's not I'm right, you're right. I know you guys aren't saying that, but we have to put some respect on Aaron Rodgers' name and what he's demanding. And you're going to see a lot more of that kind of stuff with we see it in the NBA. We're seeing it in the NFL. We're seeing it and across a lot of these sports leagues where players have a voice, man, and they want to win. And you see a lot of super teams being formed and so forth. So I think and I don't want this to sound crazy, but like the dictatorship style of ownership, like you're just gonna get out there and play, and this is what I'm paying you this and all this. Those days are over, because it just ain't happened. Players have a voice, and they're gonna tell you what they want. They're gonna tell you what they like, and they're gonna tell you what they don't like.
That's fine. I don't think the NFL will ever be like the NBA though, in that sense.
No, but
I mean we've seen them speaking out more, certainly, and but how many of them have actually been on the move? Russell Wilson wanted out of Seattle. Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. Deshaun Watson, that's a whole different thing. But it seems like the team has now flipped the perspective where he's the bad guy, where originally the team was bad, right? So it's just, we're not there yet. I like that they speak out. I like that the players stick up for themselves and their teammates, but I just don't think they'll ever get to the NBA level where super teams are being built and things like that.
But speaking about the topic we're talking about right now.
Yeah. Yes. And Aaron Rodgers does have that power. He did, right? He successfully got what he wanted. This is his last year in Green Bay, regardless. That's bad for Green Bay and good for Aaron Rodgers.
Here we go.
He got what he wanted anyway.
Here we go. And look at this.
Yes.
And Dan, thank you for this tweet. Drafting Love in the first round was a slap in the face. Rodgers is also a dickhead. You're both right.
Let's not forget that's also how Aaron Rodgers entered the league. Brett Favre still on the roster. They draft Aaron Rodgers.
Let me show you some draft picks.
He cares about that.
I know he doesn't care.
Read the second line again.
But like this is the organization, right? The organization will still be there when Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Okay, here we go. Here's some first round picks since 2007. Let me tell you if you know who these guys are. Justin Harrell, defensive tackle, Tennessee. In 2008, second round, they took Brian Brom and Jordy Nelson in the second round, okay, with Aaron Rodgers on the roster. And 2009, B.J. Raji, that was a hit. Clay Matthews, that was a hit. Those are 2 first-round picks there. And 2010, Brian Bulaga, Mike Neal. Those 2 guys were really good players. Okay. 2011, Derek Sherrod. Who in the hell is Derek Sherrod? It gets better. 2012, Nick Perry. Huh? What? You mean like, it sounds like a guy off of 90210. And then Jarrell Worthy from Michigan State. Okay. 2013, Dayton Jones. Eddie Lacy, I love Whataburger. Not happening. Okay, 2014, Clinton Dix, no longer on the team. That didn't work out.
Good years.
Okay, he was okay, but he was a good. Demarius Randall. Okay, he was a
solid years.
Solid. He was solid. Kenny Clark.
I feel like you could do this on every team, though.
No
team has great.
What I'm saying is, but that stuff matters. And when you're not active in free agency like they have been, you have to hit on more and more picks. You know, sometimes you can get guys to supplement your roster, whether via trade or free agency, right? They elected to not do that for a long time, and then you go out and you go get Jordan Love. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It just mismanages. That's the only point we're making.
And my last point here will be this. If Aaron Rodgers was going to be traded, or the organizations that inquired about trading for Aaron Rodgers, the Denver Broncos were one of those teams that came up very often. You don't think that they were willing to hand him whatever he asked for? They were literally like, we're trading for you and we will give you whatever you want, because Green Bay isn't. That's the point that I'm making. We will give you whatever you want to make you successful at quarterback for our team. If you want us to draft a wide receiver in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round, you got it, because we want Aaron Rodgers on our team, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
And short-term plans are much easier to execute in the NFL.
Exactly.
For sure.
And that team, whoever gets
they
him
have
next
a
year,
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
2010, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Whoever gets him next year is going to be a Super Bowl contender.
For sure.
Period.
And with that being said, and we kind of went over tonight, but that was a fun discussion about Aaron Rodgers. Guys, you guys are amazing, man. And you guys in the chats and the comments, the fans that actually watch this show, we couldn't be happier, man. This is you guys really do make our weeks a lot better. The fact that, these used to be text messages between the 3 of us, okay, now formed into a live show, and we couldn't be happier with where we have grown individually and as a brand, as a show. Man, we're growing, and I think, dude, that's so sick. And for those of you out there, I'll be in Buffalo for 2 straight weekends, okay, for the Poirier event. I'm going to fly in probably Thursday night now, and I'm going to leave on Monday on Labor Day, and then I'm going to be there for the home opener. So if anyone y'all out there, you want to link up for a drink, or you just want to kick it, like show me around, I'm game. Like, please do hit me up, DM me on Twitter or whatever. I'm dead serious. So if you guys want to link up, you guys are in the Buffalo area, by all means, hit me up. But fellas, this has been a damn good show. I love you both. We've been having fun. The Bills are Super Bowl bound, and we're going to be giving it to you next week with another episode of the Hoof Podcast. And on that note, we out of here.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.